slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me. Let's take it slow. Ask me how we got here, 'cause you don't know how. You say we're taking on water, yeah, we're sinking now. You're looking all concerned, like we're gonna drown. But we both know how to swim, no worries, let's float for now. Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me. Let's take it slow. I drag you out your mind, and there are days I hate you, but baby, you're still mine. And we have the best times, no matter what we do. And even when we don't, there's nobody I'd rather choose. Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Slow, where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me.
Every time we say goodbye, they all see that it's a lie. 'Cause we always give it one last try. Yeah, you've watched me break 1,000 times. Now I'm all alone, 'cause you never show. You say you will, but then you don't. That's how it goes. Don't wanna know. I'm turning off my mind so I get by. I just wanna be happy, happy tonight. Without giving a warning, I'ma leave without giving a. But every time we say goodbye, we all know that it's a lie. Now I'm all alone, 'cause you never show. You say you will, but then you don't. That's how it goes. Don't wanna know. I'm turning off my mind so I get by. I just wanna be happy, happy tonight. just wanna be happy.
I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. I saw no shadow, I looked around, searched every building and home that I found. I saw no shadow, but felt a glow. The warmth inside me, it kept me afloat. It felt like heaven had found my bones and gave me comfort when I feel alone. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. Best friend to 23. I heard the heavens crying above me. They gained an angel, I lost a friend. I felt like dying again and again. I went through hell instead of death, but I keep fighting with each living breath. I saw no way out from where I stood. Felt like the fire had burned me through. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend.
premier esport organizations in the DMV have teamed up to bring you the DMV's End of Summer Bash. Join us for a 3-day online extravaganza to help raise money for the Extra Life Foundation and Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C. Taking place August 21st through the 23rd, the DMV's End of Summer Bash will be jammed-packed with panels, tournaments, and giveaways for parents, gamers, and the esport community. Each day will feature TED Talk-style presentations, panels on hot topics in esports, and youth showcases. Think you have what it takes to be the best gamer? Sign up for one or all of the End of Summer Bash's tournaments, including Overwatch, Rocket League, and Valorant. The Bash will be broadcast live on Twitch, and proceeds will go to benefiting the Children's National Hospital through the Extra Life Foundation. Don't miss out on the hottest event this summer. For more information, check out GameGym.com/summer-bash.
Look at people and I wonder all day, who are you and you are not the one in your way. And then I think about myself and I stayed. I'm a pretty boss with almost your brain waste. I'm a freak in the sheets, but I got class. I'ma grab an ass if you want it. Best you ever had, give it to you bad. Ooh. Talk about quiet with a big mouth. Listen for the doubt, then call it. Make you out for what you say to me. Look at every single need. If you got what I need, then
What is up, Level Up Nation? And welcome to the Thursday edition of Level Up Live, your home for gaming and esports news, brought to you by OTN Media. My name is Fiasco, but we're all friends here, so you can call me John. And the guy next to me in the magical quarantine box that is the safety of his home miles and miles away from me, the king of the courtside king, Joey. What's up, buddy?
The magical quarantine box. By the way, guys, we changed the sound settings a little bit again, so if it's funky, let us know in chat early on, please. But yeah, John, I'm doing well. It's Thursday. This is our first, maybe not our first Thursday Level Up, but the first in this new format-ish type of thing, and we're excited for it. I think it's going to be fun. First
purposely scheduled Thursday show. How about that? We'll go with perfectly on purposely scheduled here. Chat is already giving you crap, Joey. The only thing funky here is you, apparently. So we're going to change you to the king of the funk, Joey Nation. As always, if you wish to listen to the podcast version of the show, the LvLUp Podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And since you're there listening to the podcast, why not leave us a really cool 3.5-star or above review? I will set a floor on that review. I'm sorry, I'm picky. That's just how it works. We do appreciate any kind of review, as they do go a long way and help promote the show and create new listeners and bring in more people into the Level Up community. So we would appreciate you taking a small, like 30 seconds of your day, leaving us a really cool review there if you so choose. Nation. All right, we talked about it on Monday's show. It's coming back again. Of course, Sony's State of Play was 45 minutes of I mean, if you're looking for PS5 news, you'd be very disappointed. But then again, you were tipped off that you weren't going to get anything. But overall, it was decent. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. But we'll dive into that a little bit more in the future. Joey, aside from the state of play for Sony, what else are we talking about this week? Pardon me, not this week. On this Thursday episode of LvLUp Live.
John, we have some exciting things on the slate. State of play is definitely going to be a major topic. We're also talking roster moves, a couple more Overwatch League players making their way over to Valorant. We have a new streaming deal signed for T1. Microsoft and Samsung also tying the knot on a new partnership. Much, much more, honestly. And one thing we're going to dive into, and I don't really know how to approach it as a topic in general, but it's going to be talking about cloud gaming, xCloud, Google Stadia, all of that, and their relationship with Android and iOS.
Tots has just discovered I have added a new emote to our Twitch channel. Joey, you may or may not like this emote, but I'm pretty pumped about it. Dana, shout out as well. Thank you for hopping in for the show. Nation, before we can even talk on any of these topics for this Thursday episode, you know what? It's twice a week. I have no problem in this. I drink more than once a week. You know, if you're here for the weekly shows, I have an adult beverage multiple times throughout the week. So this is no new difference to me or to Joey. But Joey, for the first time on LvLUp Live, we're going to have this segment twice in a week. And of course, that drink of choice. Joey, we were doing some work before the show started. Did you have time to get me a good beverage?
Boy, I've got you a good beverage. I gave you a preview earlier, too. I'm drinking El Frutero. Check out that. Oh, yeah. Big old frog. This is from Aslan Beer Company, native to Virginia here. And let me give you a little idea of the flavor. It's going to be a sour ale brewed with mango, lime, sea salt, and chili peppers. So I have no idea how this is going to taste, if I'm being completely honest. It could be a terrible experience, and I could be coughing the whole show, but we're going to try it, and I'm excited.
Joey, I am willing to wait 10 seconds right now for you to give it a sip. Thank you. And I want instantaneous feedback of the taste before, as it's in your mouth, and as it's going down your throat, please.
It's definitely hot going down the throat. I can feel the salt in the It has an aftertaste. It has it's like a fruity, salty aftertaste. Like people that put salt on their watermelon?
No.
Kind of like that flavor, but with a mango.
Wait, people do that?
Oh yeah, dude, you didn't know that? Okay, so that's a restaurant secret, ladies and gentlemen. If you put salt on the watermelon, it pulls out the flavor more. That's what restaurants do. So like like fruit parfaits that you get in restaurants, a lot of them will have small sprinkles of salt on the watermelon because it'll pull out the flavor and make it feel juicier. You're welcome.
Well, I feel incredibly basic after the beer connoisseur over there just gave us a nice breakdown. Dark and Stormy featuring Kraken Black Spiced Rum for me today because, Joey, I have a confession. I'm addicted to a video game, and it's called Sea of Thieves, and it just so happens I have rum that's named after one of the monsters you fight in Sea of Thieves, the Kraken, so it is delicious rum, so I have that mixed with some lovely ginger beer in my Washington Nationals World Series Championship Cup. You're going to hear that for at least the next 52 games in this short season. All right, Joey, we have our beverages, we have our topics. Let's get right into gaming and esports news. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Kicking things off, let's talk about those Overwatch League pros. So, John, this has been a recurring topic, I would say, on the show over the last couple weeks. Overwatch League pros moving over to the Valorant scene. Today, we have two more that got added. I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday, and they both went to FaZe Clan. That is Baby Bay from the Atlanta Reign and Raucus from the Houston Outlaws. Again, I don't know if we need to spend a ton of time on this. This is something we're seeing more and more from pros moving from Overwatch League and CSGO over to Valorant. But now this gives us, I believe it's 4/5 of a Overwatch League roster over there on FaZe.
Yeah, and, we talked about it several times with Overwatch League players retiring from Overwatch and making that transition into Valorant. We're seeing that in CSGO as well. But this is kind of unique. We've seen, organizations pick up an Overwatch Pro here and there. Not an organization really build a roster of former Overwatch League pros, kind of like what FaZe is doing. I'm kind of curious to see how this works out. And who knows, it may work. They already have chemistry. They know each other personally from competing in the Overwatch League. So I'm kind of curious to see how this all plays out for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those things where it started out like, let's pick up one of the best DPS players in Overwatch League in Corey. He's looking at changing scenes. He wants to change his scenery in general, and he's available. 100% you pick a player up like that. He sniped like crazy on Widowmaker. Beautiful pickup. Then from there, I think it's more Corey has played with these guys before. He's had good experiences with them. Raucus, for example, I believe was Team USA at one point. So Corey experienced playing with him there. On top of that, these guys scrim with each other outside of the game. They also have fun just playing solo queue with one another. So I think this is one of those things where you already have these relationships being built. Why not expand on them? If these guys are moving over to the Valorant scene anyway, they're going to be looking for a team. They're going to be looking to compete. If they already know Corey, if they're already on a good level with him, why not bring him to FaZe Clan? On top of that, FaZe Clan is one of those, I would say, organizations that is like 100 Thieves, where they're looking beyond esports. They want content creation. And when you look at people like Baby Bay, you look at Corey, you look at Raucus, these are guys that are beloved by the teams they were on. They're very well known throughout the scene they competed in, and they're some of those people that do really well as streamers too. So now FaZe Clan is not only getting very mechanically skilled players from these Overwatch League pros, but they're getting people who have touched multiple scenes and touched fans on a very deep level at different events. So I think it's a huge, huge win for everyone involved, but really FaZe Clan in general. Over to Team Liquid, a couple CSGO signings as well. They've added Grim and Pasha to their CSGO squad. John, this is one of those things we see time and time again with different organizations. I don't think these are going to be... I wouldn't say they're game-changing moves in a sense. I think it's just freshening up the roster. This is Team Liquid coming in saying, hey, we've really underperformed at the last couple events, especially the major tournaments. How can we continue to upgrade our roster? How can we continue to change things up, make it a little bit fresh heading into the next season and into the next major? I think Grim and Pasha are a good way to do that. Do I think they're going to be a game-winning roster now? Maybe not. I think it improves their standings. But overall, I think just freshening things up can be a nice relief to the team. It can bring new thoughts. It can bring new gameplay, new ideas. And that alone, I think, could be a big upgrade for our roster. Anything else on those funky roster moves or anything else this week for rosters?
Nah, I'm just pretty hyped for that FaZe lineup in Valorant. I'm really curious to see how the Overwatch pros will do in a more traditional FPS setting when it comes to this esport title versus Overwatch.
Excellent. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I believe they are playing this weekend. They might be playing currently actually in the FaZe Clan Open of the Ignition series. So a couple different things going on with that series. We'll touch on it a bit later. But the new character Killjoy is disabled due to all the bugs that came with her.
Really?
There's lots and lots of bugs. Yeah, it is broken game for real, T-Spans out there right now. So we'll see how that all goes, but I think she's disabled. Partnerships and investments. T1 has signed a new multi-year streaming deal with Twitch. I can't say I'm surprised by this, John. So we saw them originally. I think they were on, gosh, I can't think of the name. I think it was Azure or no. It was one of those Chinese-based platforms. It was very popular, and it ended up getting... Zubu is the name of it. And I believe it got shut down. So now they've made a move over to Twitch. They ended up with this giant stream. Faker pulled in tons and tons of viewers, and they've seen success there. I think the big monumental part of this is not only T1 signing with Twitch, but T1 choosing not to sign with some of these giant upcoming Chinese platforms. A lot of the Asian teams in general, both in South Korea, both in China, Taiwan as well, are signing with these Chinese platforms. The fact that T1 decided, no, we're going to stick with Amazon's Twitch, regardless if, I mean, now they're based more out of USA anyway, but they do have a giant presence in South Korea still. Making this decision, I think, is very big for Asian streaming markets in general.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's huge. Deal with Twitch. It's going to be massive for the Asian market, like you said. It's already competitive over there enough as it is when it comes to online streaming. I think this is pretty big for Twitch versus T1. T1 can pretty much go wherever they want and get the viewers, but I think this is massive for Twitch.
Absolutely. And speaking with our South Asian audience over there, Microsoft and Samsung, they have tied the knot on a new Xbox Game Pass partnership. To break this one down a little bit, John, so Game Pass will be launching for Android devices in September. Those of you with Androids, it's going to be September 15th. Additionally, the app on Samsung phones is going to be a little bit different. They announced it yesterday at a Samsung conference. The uniqueness of it is going to be that it's going to allow in-game purchases. So, John, if you're playing Sea of Thieves and you see this awesome set of sales, you can be playing on your phone via controller, via touch controls, whatever you're playing with, and say, hey, I'm just going to go purchase these sales right on my Samsung device. You will now be able to do that. Now, if you're on a Google phone or on a, OnePlus, whoever else uses Android out there, if you're on one of those phones, the Android app will not have that ability. So it'll say you can play whatever game you want, but you cannot make in-game purchases on the app itself, except for on Samsung phones.
Don't give me that example, Joey. You already know how bad it is. Everyone who's played games with me knows I spend way too much money on microtransactions that turn into mega transactions later on down the road. No, I think overall it's a smart move. Having that partnership with the fact that the Game Pass and xCloud will be coming to Android devices and coming to Samsung, it makes sense. That's one thing gamers always want. They want more accessibility to the games they love. World of Warcraft did it several years ago, back in Legion. I think it even happened before Legion, maybe in Warlords of Draenor, where the app companion with it was actually something that you could work on in real life when you were away from your computer. You could be doing mission table quests and everything on there that didn't require you to be in front of a computer. You could do it all from your mobile device. I think it's smart. I think it's going to keep players engaged with their game when they're away from their console or away from their PC. I think it's incredibly smart. And I think that they're going to get a lot more money out of it too from people like me who just don't know when to say no when they see those sweet, sweet new sales flow on by on the Sea of Thieves. So yeah, Joey, I think that's a very accurate description you used.
Okay, now, Jen, I have to ask you this, though. So what are your thoughts on it just being with Samsung? I mean, obviously, this could be something with Google saying, hey, we're not going to allow this on our store. Or do you think this is Microsoft saying, hey, Samsung, we've already started developing this partnership around, I think, like 5G over in Southeast Asia. Why not expand it? Why not make this app only available, or this feature only available excessive or exclusively on Samsung devices? I don't really know how I feel. I think it's probably Google limiting it more than anything. But I love the fact that they made a big deal out of it. Like, if Google and iOS or whoever is not going to give them that ability, why not sign with someone exclusively? And someone as big as Samsung, I think, is a huge win for both parties. Anything else on that, good sir?
Nope, I think you already shamed me enough for spending money on video games, so I think we're good.
It happens. It happens. Okay, this next one is going to expand on this Game Pass thing, as well as a few other services like Google Stadia and NVIDIA GeForce Now. So, John, we got to talk. We got to talk Android versus iOS here, because there has been a lot of drama going on right now between game carriers, between cell phone carriers, between iOS people. I mean, it's all over the place. It's a giant mess right now. So what do we know so far? Microsoft has confirmed that xCloud will be included in Game Pass Ultimate at no additional cost. So if you're paying $14.99 for Game Pass, you get xCloud automatically included. It'll include your full library of games, plus all of the other games on Game Pass, and they can be cloud streamed simultaneously. So you can stream from your own console, or you can stream from Microsoft's like server blades. This is going to be added to Android devices on September 15th. That includes tablets and mobile phones. There's different devices coming out too, like controllers that have like little phone holders and different things like that. People love it. People are stoked. It's going to be very exciting. On top of that, Google Stadia is out. It's not doing great right now, but it is another cloud gaming service out there, and it's backed by Google. So Google is now looking at trying to get exclusive deals, find reasons for people to come into Stadia, especially now that Microsoft comes on board with xCloud in this giant library. Last but not least, you have NVIDIA. NVIDIA is out there. They've lost a lot of games over the past, I think we started reporting on April, John, where people started pulling games off of NVIDIA's service, which is currently on PCs. They're looking to move to mobile as well. So they're hoping to put it on Android. They're hoping to put it on iOS, et cetera, et cetera. So Google, Microsoft, and NVIDIA, all with cloud gaming. Now, the big issue here comes in is that Android is approving a lot of these, whether it be the Google Play Store, the Samsung Store, whatever you want to call it on different Android devices. However, iOS has come out and said no. Now, there's been mixed reasons why, and John, we'll break some of these down a little bit. But just off the top, what are your thoughts on why Apple would say no to this? Because I feel like there's more meaning than what they're currently giving as statements.
You know, from what I've read, I can understand why some people are upset with what Apple ended up coming out and saying in regards to why they're not doing it. But at the same time, I mean, that's the same standard they've held to every developer. And of course, the standard is that they, Apple's App Store has to go through this rigorous, if you will, approval rating system through Apple itself to ensure the safety of the apps. Now, granted, it's not foolproof, obviously. They've had apps that have ended up being malware that's shown up in the App Store before. But at the end of the day, there are certain criteria for games and programs to make it into the App Store for iOS devices. When it comes to cloud-based apps, I tried to do some research. I couldn't find anything that was cloud-based in the sense that you stream the game to your phone, because I've seen the argument. People are saying, well, this is just Apple trying to protect Apple Arcade. It's really not the same. Apple Arcade is a subscription service to unlock paid games that you still have to download individually. They're not streamed from a cloud versus, Project xCloud, Google Stadia, where it is all cloud-based. You don't actually download the game. You stream it from the cloud. That, to me, seems to be the big hang-up. And I did some research. I couldn't really find any other examples where Apple allowed a cloud-based program to run as openly as xCloud would do for third-party developers that haven't already gone through Apple's approval system. Now, there have been apps that are from third-party systems that are a part of different subscription packages that have made it into the App Store, but they're in there as individual programs, not as individual programs linked directly to a cloud that they run solely from the cloud on. And I feel like that might be where a lot of people are getting that frustration from, and I completely understand it. I know, Joey, you have an amazing opinion on this, and I'm dying to know what it is. But at least from my own research, from what I've seen, it kind of makes sense. I think as a gamer, it is a little upsetting, a little down-putting that Apple's not opening the door. But at the same time, if they truly are holding everyone to the same standard, then I can't really be too upset at them. Go.
Okay. We're going to have fun with this. So I think the cloud part is definitely part of it. And I don't think they've emphasized that enough and exactly how all that works. But based on the terms of service, and yes, I went into full lawyer mode and read it through, the section that is based on entertainment. So one of the big issues is because each of the games is listed within Game Pass. So if I open this Game Pass app or this Xbox app or this xCloud app, whatever it's going to be called, I open it up and it's going to show all my titles. So it's going to show Halo, Gears of War, Grounded, all of that kind of stuff. And then you can access and play that game directly from that app. That's the issue. That is one of the major issues they brought up in different statements over the last couple months. So then it comes down to movies and music. So technically, by their terms of service, movies and music fall into that same category. So that would mean they also have to review every single movie on Netflix, every single song on Spotify, every single movie and TV show and song on Amazon Prime before any of that gets published in the app. They don't do that. They don't review any of that stuff. So that's where they have this giant loophole that is being legally looked at now because they're going against it. So when it comes to entertainment, all of that stuff is equal the same. So if they're allowing these other app developers to break that loophole in a sense or to use that loophole, then they have to allow people like Google and Microsoft and NVIDIA to do the same thing. Now, I think the different piece that you hit on, John, is the cloud stuff. So they're trying to expand on that a bit more. And I think it's a little bit of a gray area in a bit in the way that Netflix works and some of these other parts work. Usually Netflix, you're draining over 5G. It's going to be the same thing with a cloud type of thing, unless you're on Wi-Fi. So that brings up a whole nother question mark. And that's stuff they haven't really dove into too hard. Now, the other side of this is the purchase thing. So any purchase made on the App Store gets a 30% charge on it that goes directly to Apple. So if you end up buying, John's going to buy in-game currency this time for some other game, and 30% of his purchase, instead of going to that developer, is going to go straight to Apple. Now, it's been legally found out that Apple does not do this for everyone. So for Amazon, for example, they do not get a full 30% taxed. It just came out in the court case this previous week, so now Apple is being sued for that. So there's a whole bunch of stuff to this. And again, I'm definitely on the non-Apple side for this. I use an iPhone. I love Apple's iOS. But when it comes down to it, some of the legal stuff and some of the jargon that they're doing here, they're not supporting on a grand basis. So it's not just because it's Microsoft, it's because it's Google, it's because it's NVIDIA, but the fact that it is not being supported by stuff like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and different things like that, that is not being looked at in the same way. So I took this a lot cooler and calmer than I thought I was going to be honest.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised.
I thought I was just going to come in here and light Apple up and just yell this whole time. But yeah, no, overall, I'm not a fan of this. I think this is not pro gamer. I don't think this is pro anyone in a sense. If anything, it's pro Apple. And I think D-Brod in chat brings up a great point, Apple Arcade. So John, you're dismissing Apple Arcade here. I think Apple Arcade is a giant reason why, to be honest. Like if you're looking at subscription services and I can spend $5 on Apple Arcade versus spending $5 on Game Pass, why would I not go with Game Pass with 100 games that are console quality versus 100 games that are arcade quality, and I would say 99% of them are not even worth playing to begin with. So I think that might be one issue. Do I think Apple really cares that much? I don't know. I could see it being as a competitor to them. Like I would definitely choose Game Pass or Nvidia's service, maybe even Google Stadia over Apple Arcade. But I don't know if that's enough to hold them back either.
Yeah, so I get it. I get the subscription-based service. I get the fact that Apple came out with Apple Arcade. So when I brought that example up, it's mainly based upon the cloud edition of it. Mainly, Xbox and the xCloud is all cloud-based versus the Apple Arcade is the subscription service that allows you to download the physical program of the game. Now, you're 100% correct. At the basic bottom level, it is a video game subscription. Now, my argument would come in here saying that they're still completely separate. And the reasoning is that I'm sorry, if you're going to play a game like Sea of Thieves on your mobile device, your experience with that game is going to go downhill fast. You're not going to get the same quality that you're going to get playing that game on a PC or on a console that you will on that phone. That's the biggest issue. Mobile gamers aren't looking for a graphic-intensive multiplayer online game in that sense. That's why Apple Arcade was so great, was that you got these great mobile titles at a $5 a month price versus paying $2.99, $3.99, $4.99 per individual high-rated mobile game. Mobile gamers and PC gamers and console gamers, while yes, there are some crossover, are very different markets. I really don't see, like even when you take Fortnite, for example, I would love to see the numbers here in the US, the number of mobile Fortnite players, hours they put onto the mobile device versus hours they put onto the console or PC version. It's probably not going to be anywhere close. That's why it's another reason why I think you can't really compare the two, other than the fact that yes, they're both subscription services, and yes, they both offer video games. But aside from that, they're hitting really two majorly different markets. Mobile gaming versus platform and console and PC gaming.
Okay, I would agree. Studies show that we are wrong, though, at least over in Asia. So they ran tests on Game Pass over in Asia for, I think it was 5 months long. It might have been 6 months. And they did see a development difference between mobile gaming versus Game Pass streaming type of stuff over there for xCloud. So over the course of the 6 months, they ended up with a lot less mobile gamers playing mobile games and spending that time on their phone, the people who were in the study at least, on xCloud products. So they saw it was something like a 15% increase in time that people spent on their phones mobile gaming in Game Pass versus mobile games in general. So it's very interesting. And again, that's Asia. Asia is very different than over here in the United States. Different markets approach things differently. Different lifestyles also come into place. So it very well could be different test results over in North America versus Europe versus South America versus Asia. But at least in Asia, they did see a heavy increase as far as playtime in other games versus those actual mobile games developed for the device.
Yeah, and I think you would see that because I think the idea of being able to play a AAA title on your phone on the go when all you need is your phone and an Xbox controller, that's very appeasing, especially to families with kids. If they're on a road trip, cars come with Wi-Fi now, people. Think of that. You can, easily hop onto your car's Wi-Fi on a road trip, or with 5G coming out. Sorry, it does not cause coronavirus. With 5G coming out, in most areas, in most urban and metropolitan areas, you're not going to have connection issues on 5G, so you'll be able to play those games. So yeah, I think for a time there would be a spike of people wanting to play, xCloud based games on their mobile device, just out of the curiosity to see, do I get the same enjoyment out of this game on a 6.5-inch phone that I do in front of my TV, that I do in front of my, 27-inch computer monitor? Do I get that same kind of enjoyment? Like Joey, I used to be a console player exclusively up until, 8 years ago when I got, a gaming PC that could actually run games. I don't know if I could go back to a console controller exclusively to play these same games I'm so used to playing on mouse and keyboard on a console now on a smaller screen. A lot of these games are highly competitive and focus a lot on visual and audio from those games in order to have that advantage. Are you going to be able to have that same kind of advantage on a 6.5-inch mobile screen or on your tablet? I don't know. You might be able to, you might not be able to. For me, it definitely wouldn't be something that attracts me to the idea of doing mobile, streaming a cloud-based game on a mobile device, but I can get the appeal to it. And I think that's why they saw the increase, was the initial appeal. I would like to see the long distance, how long they actually stay committed to playing on the mobile device through that cloud-based gaming service long term, to see if it truly is going to make an impact on mobile gaming. 6 months, yeah, it's a decent chunk of time, but I'd like to see it for maybe 2 years to see if people actually stick with it for the long term.
Yeah, I think a few other pieces that not many people hit on as far as the topic goes is, one is the accessibility. So it's interesting, but like in a lot of I would say poorer neighborhoods in urban areas, you would be surprised how many different kids have like really nice shoes or nice cell phones, but not enough money to afford anything else. So I think that's one thing this opens up a little bit more as well, is if people have phones more accessible, maybe they can't afford the newest console every 5 years. Maybe they can't afford a gaming PC. Maybe they can't afford the new games that come out so regularly at $60, $70 a pop. Maybe that $10 subscription with the phone they already have now makes it more accessible. So maybe they can now compete in that tournament that they want to, or maybe they now have that ability to play the new Madden for $10 as opposed to spending $70 up front to play the new Madden. So I think accessibility is one thing that opens it up a bit. As well as like what you said, the accessibility of travel. I think of people who are on buses or who are on metros and different things like that. Now you have the ability to play on your phone. Now, would I recommend playing a competitive shooter on your phone? Probably not. I mean, even though Microsoft xCloud's, I would say their latency in general is much, much less than what we see on Google Stadia right now, I still think it's too much latency to play anything competitively and have a fair chance at it. So like you said with Fortnite, I would probably not recommend Fortnite on a mobile device. But the thing I could see doing really well is those single player games. Maybe something that's like a platformer, or maybe something that's a little bit more simple and fun to play that doesn't have that high intensity that some kind of competitive game would have. The other thing that I think we are kind of missing out on here is we're talking a lot about phones, but what about tablets? Imagine a game on an iPad, or imagine a game on a Samsung Galaxy tablet or Note or whatever they're called, or a Surface. I think that stuff has a lot of potential as well. Like if I'm just sitting on the couch and maybe my console's at another house or somewhere else, or someone's borrowing it, I don't know. That's a terrible example. Let's say I travel to my parents' house and I did not bring my console with me and everyone fell asleep at 8 o'clock and I want something to do. So I could hop on a mobile game, or I could pull out the iPad. I could bring up this xCloud service. They already have internet like most modern households do in the area. So I'm just going to be able to pull it up, and I'm going to be able to play whatever game I want from my Xbox library right there. I think that's just a huge accessibility thing as well. Just having that convenience of doing it wherever you want to, versus just purely playing a mobile game. The other thing with mobile games in general is the amount of money people spend on them. There's a lot of money that goes into mobile games. And one thing with Game Pass, or at least that they saw in the study, is that people are not spending as much money. Obviously, it's not accessible via the app like we talked about with that partnership, but that is definitely something to consider as well. So we'll keep track of this. I think iPhone or Apple will eventually change their service ideas around a little bit, particularly how this trial goes through. They're not looking so good in this trial right now, so we'll probably see some new rules and regulations coming out after that concludes. Just a note, Sony mentioned this earlier in the week as well. That's the DualShock 4 controller. PlayStation fans, your DualShock will work with your PS5, but it won't work with any PS5 games. A lot of people were outraged by this, John. A lot of Sony gamers in general were pissed by this statement. I'm not. I'm like, if I'm going to buy a new console, whether it be PlayStation, whether it be Xbox, I'm not planning on taking my new controller because a brand new controller comes in the box. Like, I'm going to end up playing with the PS5 controller or the Xbox Series X controller. I don't know why many people would go to an older controller unless, like, maybe we're talking like there's a bunch of people over for FIFA and you don't want to buy a bunch of new controllers. Then it kind of makes sense a little bit, but at the same point, it's like, I don't think it's the end of the world personally.
I think if you're complaining about your PS4 controller not working on your brand new PS5 controller, you are literally so lucky that you have nothing else in life to worry about and complain about than using a PS4 controller on a PlayStation 5. You're dropping hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a new console. It's going to come with a controller. buy another one. If you're dropping $600 for a console, I'm pretty sure you can drop probably like another 70 for a second, $70 for a second controller if you really need another one. Like, I'm sorry, I think that's ridiculous. Like, yeah, I don't feel bad for you at all.
Yeah, I get it. I don't think it's the end of the world, to be completely honest. I mean, the PS5 controllers can be interesting. So like, you can play and you can blow in your controller and it's not going to do things in game. I don't think that's a game-changing feature, but it's definitely something that will be there. That DualShock 4 that will still work with your PS4. Again, it works with PS4 games on PS5, the ones that are carried over, and it will also work with Xbox's Project xCloud that comes out in September. PlayStation State of Play happened today, John. I knew a lot of different things that were going to happen in the State of Play previously, and they all changed. PlayStation ended up making a bunch of moves. I think a lot of it based on the feedback that Xbox got at their, what was it called? The Xbox Game Showcase in July. A lot of people wanted more gameplay. The stuff that I knew that was leaked that was going to be in this PlayStation show did not show gameplay. So I have a feeling that's why it was removed after all that negative feedback that Xbox got on the games that they did not show that gameplay for. So instead, we got something a little bit different. It focused heavily on PSVR. It focused on PS4 games that are coming out throughout the rest of the year. And it gave us a small taste of some PS5 games that were already announced back in June. What are your thoughts? So you have a PlayStation. You're a PlayStation 4 guy right now. Obviously, PC is your main platform. Were you impressed with this State of Play? Are you excited for a lot of these games? What are your thoughts?
I mean, nostalgia hit with Crash Bandicoot 4. I think being able to see the gameplay of that a little bit more, being able to see screenshots, I'm excited for it. It's an old school game making a new age comeback. So, for me, that got me excited. Seeing Hitman 3, seeing gameplay for that, I thought that was really exciting too. I mean, it didn't blow me away, but I wasn't disappointed either. I guess the biggest factor, and we were talking about this before the show, we knew the PlayStation 5 specs, pricing, everything else, that wasn't going to be the main subject. Like, so, using your example from earlier, Joey, that bar was already low. Like, it was like, okay, you give me something to make it worth my while that I'm going to invest the next 45 to 60 minutes of my life watching this stream. Like, give me something. And I feel like overall they did a decent job with these announcements with a lot of these games. I'm not leaving disappointed, but I'm not, like, my shoes weren't blown off either.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was good. I feel like it's getting a lot of negative criticism. I don't think it was great. I think what they did was decent. Like, they showed a decent variety of games. I feel like it was a little platformer heavy for me personally, but a lot of different graphic styles were shown, a lot of different variety of play, especially the gameplay in general. I think that's something to be praised as well. Like, Sony got nailed for not enough gameplay in June. Xbox did the same thing in July and got criticized for it. Sony came out very gameplay heavy in this one. So you had a trailer here or there, but for the most part, it focused on the gameplay. What will I be doing when I play this game? I think that's something to praise. They did exactly what people wanted, yet people are not very happy about it. So I'm kind of like, whatever. The other thing I see a lot on social media after I have seen just today on social media is people saying, where's the PS5 news? Where's our pricing? What new games are coming to PS5? Announce new surprises. Guys, did you not read the tweet when they announced the event? They said there will be no major PS5 news bolded on the tweet. That drives me crazy. Like, if people are going to complain, at least read the statement. If they lied about something, if they said they were going to show something and they didn't, I think that's a different story. The fact that they came out and said straight up on the announcement tweet, this will not be included, people should not expect it from there. They need to learn how to read. That frustrates me more than anything. I think the event was fine. If we had to grade it, John, on a scale from 1 to 10, what would you give it?
I'd give it a 5. I mean, I feel like that's a fair grade. Anything above a 5, I think you're a Sony fanboy that's delusional with horse blinders on. Anything below a 5, I think you're just a negative Nancy Xbox fan that just wants to diminish PlayStation's legacy. That's how I feel about it, Joey. So now if you don't pick a 5, that's where you stand.
I'm actually higher than a 5. I think it was like a 6.5, to be honest. I really don't think it was that bad. Like, okay, the showcase did not blow me away, but again, because the expectations were outlined, they told us exactly what we were going to get in the announcement. My expectations were low for exactly what they said we were going to get, and we got it. They gave us exactly what they said. That can't disappoint me. I think 6.57. It wasn't great, but they did what they said, and I'm happy with that. Don't clip that, people. Spirasoft has announced this week that they are now collaborating with 343 Industries on Halo Infinite development. John, this one's funny to me. So Halo comes out at the end of July. They get a lot of critique on the way that the graphics looked in game, mainly based on, I think the lighting was critiqued. They had some pop-ins in the environment, and then some of the textures on the different creatures, the brutes especially. So people are like, okay, this is this game. It has $500,000 or $500 million budget. There's been tons of time, like 5 years poured into this. Why did things not look extremely polished by July for a launch in November? People are not happy. So this to me is Phil Spencer saying, okay, let's call in some extra polish. Let's clean this game up a little bit. 343 can do a lot of it with the finishing textures like they did in Halo 5, but who else can we get involved? So they brought in this organization, Spirasoft. They've worked on, I think, Saints Row 3 remaster. Rainbow Six Vegas is another game they worked on at one point. There's another big one I can't think of, but they've worked on a number of big titles. They're also helping with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So they're one of these organizations that comes in and kind of co-helps people develop games. To me, it's a little late in the game to be bringing another organization on, as now you have to bring them up to speed with like 2 months before this game potentially ships. So there's going to be a lot of work ahead, but this to me is Xbox saying, okay, we were not happy. People were obviously not happy with the gameplay that we showed, even though it was a couple months old gameplay. They're now paying a little bit more premium to get these people to come out. One other thing that was announced, John, before I turn it over to you, was ray tracing. Originally, that was supposed to come out after launch. With this signing, do you think ray tracing comes at launch now as well?
I think it'd be crazy not to. Ray tracing just helps out overall when it comes to graphics. I mean, look, I think people were overly critical on the gameplay that they saw for Halo Infinite. It's not a finished product. People, if you want to critique the shadows, I mean, it'd be like the same people that are critiquing how, so taking Shadowlands, for example, for World of Warcraft, how buggy the alpha was. It's an alpha. Oh, the shading and coloring didn't look right. It's an alpha. They're not looking for feedback on graphics unless there's like a third arm jolting out of Sylvanas' stomach, where that's obviously a glitch. They're looking for actual structure, like actual feedback. I think people that were looking too far at the graphics may have missed the point. The game is still in development. I do think with this signing, I do think ray tracing will be a legitimate feature before launch. I think it should be, because at the end of the day, it just helps the game overall, graphically, and just how it helps smooth the game out overall. I think it's a possibility you may see ray tracing on this title before launch.
Yeah, and I'm not worried about the signing either. I think bringing in someone else to help polish it up is not a bad move. It's going to cost a pretty penny to do that. But overall, I like the idea of it. Get this title ready for launch, make it look nice and clean. I think I have to fault Xbox and 343, though, as well. Xbox, you come out and say, we're going to show you the most powerful console ever. We're going to show you next-gen graphics. And then they show the Halo graphics.
It's fair.
That did not look next gen. A lot of people compared it to an Xbox 360 graphic, a PS3 graphic. It didn't look clean enough to be that next gen graphic, that first look at next gen graphics. Now, I think part of that comes back to 343 too. In designing the game, they meant to take a look at the classic game style. A lot of the art and animation is based on that original Halo Combat Evolved from like a decade or so ago, or even more than a decade or so ago. It's like 15 years, I think, at this point. So they're looking at that original art style and they're trying to reimagine it to get, one, the nostalgia of old fans, and two, a new way for newer fans potentially to reach into that same kind of new level of nostalgia. So I think that's one thing that 343 did not explain well enough, the art style that they were going for. With that being said, Xbox marketing it as next-gen graphics and then showing something that's a little bit not as touched up, not as brushed up, even if it was captured 2 or 3 months earlier, it's still just not a good look for either party. So I think it'll be fine by launch. I'm with you, John. I think they clean it up nice and good. It was a demo. It's not a final launch product. But overall, I think this signing will help get that out. And I think people are probably being a little too crazy about it, but Xbox needs to look at their marketing for it as well. Jumping over, Nintendo has sold 61.44 million Switch devices. John, I have to mention this because we were doing our little trivia just a couple weeks ago on different devices being sold. Nintendo, this is now their second highest selling device behind the Wii. I believe the Wii was over 100, if I remember correctly, so about 40 million behind, but very impressive for the Switch just in a couple years. I believe it's been out for 3 years now. On top of that, 22.4 million copies of Animal Crossing. That came out in March. So what are we, like 4 months since then? That's pretty incredible. 22 million copies in about 4 months worth of time. Nintendo just absolutely killing it. And that resulted in a surge of profits. John, a measly 428% profit this quarter. Nintendo just, once again, doing nothing, not getting involved with Microsoft and Sony and their little drama back and forth on consoles. Nintendo just chugging along, doing their own thing, collecting stars as Mario and collecting the profit as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they do. They kill it. It's no big surprise there.
Absolutely incredible stuff. The Switch just continuing to show people its worth. Additional reminders and notes before we head into this final esports section. Valorant's Act 2 Battle Pass and Act 2 in general has now dropped. Again, new character out, new Battle Pass out. So grind those skins, grind that gear, grind those freaking Radiant points that I don't think should exist to begin with, but they are there in the Battle Pass or for purchase for your arm and your leg. You have 2 months to complete the new Battle Pass. It's chock full of, again, new skins. John, did you get a chance to look at any of the new skins, by the way?
I did. I'll be completely honest. Not a huge fan of that cyberpunk kind of looking skin. I believe they call it
Glitch Pop. I think
Glitch Pop. No. It seriously looks like. All right, so here we go. There's a really funky like kids designer back in the 90s called Lisa Frank. It's like Lisa Frank and her bright colors and rainbow unicorns on the hardest drugs available in the 21st century. That's what the skins look like. They don't even look good. Like the dragon skin, like, yeah, it was a little over the top, but hey, it got me to buy the Vandal out of it. But the Glitch Pop, it just looks like, I mean, random colors thrown on the gun. Like, it doesn't look that great. Like, if you're going to make me pay $80 for this bundle, I'm not going to do it. I don't think it looks that good.
I don't think it looks terrible, but $20 a gun skin is a little crazy for me for a free-to-play game. So I am going to pass on that one as well. But the Battle Pass does have some cool ones, John. There's one, it doesn't quite look like Reavers. I think it's like called Hive Mind or something like that. It's like a purple skin. Very cool looking, to be honest, for early tiers of that Battle Pass. And they also have, I don't know if it's called Foxy or exactly, might be Fox Angle or something, but it's like this fox made out of triangle polygons type of thing. Polyfox might be the name of it. I really like that skin set as well. So a couple cool guns on that. I have not purchased the Battle Pass. I learned my lesson. I'm going to play out the season, see how far I get, and then maybe consider the purchase depending what I would unlock, instead of me trying to grind out a ton right at the end in a very stressful sense. So we'll see how that goes. Friends, ladies, listeners, gentlemen, if you play one match of Quake Champions during QuakeCon at home, that's going to be August 7th through the 9th, you will unlock all champions forever. John, I don't think either one of us play Quake, but I know it's a very popular title out there. If you guys want to get all those champions forever, go ahead and give a match a play August 7th through the 9th. Sea of Thieves Twitch drops are back. Watch any partnered Sea of Thieves streamer play for 30 minutes between 10 a.m. on British Standard Time on August 8th through 10 a.m. British Standard Time on August 10th. John, you want to do that conversion for us? To earn 2 collectible figureheads as a final celebration of Rare's 35th anniversary. There's like a skeleton one with a shield, and there's also a tribute to Banjo and Kazooie. Again, guys, all you have to do is watch a partnered Sea of Thieves streamer for 30 minutes this weekend, August 8th and through the 10th.
All right.
What's my conversion?
Okay, fam. This one's going to be tough. 1 a.m. British time, or BST, British Summer Time is what it stands for. Jordan, Did you know that? $5 if you didn't know.
I said British Standard. Whoops.
No, there you go. So you owe me like 5 in-game
doubloons. I don't owe
doubloons.
you anything.
You
Wait a
do.
minute. 1 a.m. our time for the conversion?
1 a.m. BST is 8 p.m. Eastern time the day before. I'm sorry?
So we need 10 a.m.
Oh, 10 a.m.? I thought you said 1 a.m.
Summertime, whatever we call it.
You got me a little confused. So it's 10 a.m. summertime. That is 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to wake up at the crack of dawn to set sail, be my guest. I won't be on until at least 8 o'clock. But, you know, I mean, you can do you if you want to wake up at 5 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're on, man, if you're on the West Coast, 2 a.m., I think not.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of time. So it opens up at 2 a.m. Pacific time, and you have all that time, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, play all the way through 5 a.m. the next day. Lots of good action. Again, only watch 30 minutes, and you're good to go for those, so check them out. Game releases, Fall Guys, they have finally got their servers under control. That came out on 8/4, so just a couple days ago, as well as COD Warzone Season 5. That one dropped on August 5th. Go ahead and check those new game releases out. Additionally, coming later this week, actually tomorrow, John, on Friday, the Avengers beta for you PS4 players goes ahead and starts itself off. I believe a week later it comes to Xbox, and a week after that, it becomes a public beta as well. And then Horizon Zero Dawn, very successful PlayStation game for PS4, did extremely well. Lots of people fell in love with it. That is now coming to PC as well and drops tomorrow, Friday, on Steam. If you're interested, go ahead and check that one out. With that, John, let's slide into esports. We got a couple more topics to hit on before we wrap up today's show. Kicking things off, FaZe. They have their upcoming Ignition Series tournament. We touched on this a bit earlier in the show. Killjoy was released with Act 2. She will be disabled for the tournament due to the number of bugs that have been introduced. John, there's craziness going on. You can see her turret through walls. Yeah, there's just craziness. I'm not going to go over everything, but she has a ton of bugs related to her, and it's broken gameplay for a lot of different heroes that interact with her, so she will be disabled. The interesting part, this was not FaZe's decision. FaZe was going to let people play Killjoy and let it be as is. Riot stepped in and said, hey, if this is going to be a sanctioned tournament, we're going to strongly request that you disable her to keep competitive integrity of the game up. I think this is big because Riot stepped in. Not necessarily because it's Riot saying, hey, we don't want our games to look broken, but I think this is Riot saying we are paying attention to these Ignition events. We are watching this esports scene grow natively, and we want to see areas to continue to invest and continue to help grow the scene. So again, if for this, it's saying, hey, don't make our game look terrible. But I love the fact that they are paying attention to the rule sets. They are actively looking into these different tournaments being ran. So I think that is a big win overall for Valorant and its upcoming esports scene.
I agree. I think the big story there is the fact that Riot was aware enough to step in and say, hey, guys, we're not going to tell you no, but we're going to strongly suggest that if you're going to continue to use our product for profit, that you do not use her. So I like the move. I think it's smart by Riot, like you said, not just to show that the game's not broken, but to show that they are actively aware and they are aware of the issues and they're going to fix it. So I think it's definitely a smart move by them.
Absolutely. That brings us to League of Legends, John. It is a huge week ahead. We are moving toward playoffs. For the LEC, this is actually the final week of the summer split. So they have a super week this week. Every team is playing 3 games, just like they did the first week of the season. It's all going to come down to this. Lots of action ahead. One match that I'd like to highlight is Rogue versus Mad Lions. These are 2 young teams that are tied for first. Everyone coming into summer split expected it to be the same teams of spring. Your G2 Esports versus your Fnatic. Both of those teams have been underperforming. Both of them find themselves around middle of the table right now. They both look like they'll make playoffs, but it's not looking too pretty. So of these 2 rookie teams, Rogue has been doubted a ton. They have Finn in the top lane. He's really shown his colors very well. Inspired in the jungle has looked great. Larson as a mid laner and almost as a captain of that team has looked incredible. Hans Sama, the reemergence of his career as the AD carry for Rogue. This whole Rogue squad in general is just coming together so cleanly, but they're not getting the praise. They take down G2, they take down Fnatic, still not getting the praise. Mad Lions, on the other hand, after fighting big time with G2 over in spring, have brought in a ton of praise. Young AD carry and Karzi, obviously incredibly talented just watching them play in one game. Kaiser, I think, is probably one of the best supports in the world right now. This team is incredible. 4 rookies and Humanoid in the mid lane. So overall, John, I think this is a really good matchup to look at in general. And what are your thoughts on the 2 young players here?
Yeah, I think overall, I think it's really cool seeing these 2 young orgs really battle it out. It's a nice, refreshing taste in the LEC, but normally it's Fnatic and G2, like you've said, Joey, and now it's 2 completely different organizations that are really taking it by storm. And I think you're right; these are 2 teams that you definitely have to pay attention to going into this final Super Week. Not only because they play each other on day 2, 3 p.m. Eastern time, but because their other 2 games that each of them play are 100%, almost 100% wins in the books for both of them. It's going to come down to that head-to-head matchup on day 2 of this Super Week. And I think, it is must-watch esport TV. If you are an esport fan and you're looking for something that has high drama, that matchup between Rogue and Mad Lions is must-watch. You have to clear out your day to watch that matchup.
And on top of that, like I said, with it being a super week in LEC, every single matchup is going to matter. But just to highlight one more, OG versus SK. This is one where OG is fighting to find their way into the playoffs. SK being one of those beatable teams up on their agenda, but also a very team they've struggled with so far in summer. I'm very excited to see how OG responds here. If they respond poorly, I don't think OG makes it into playoffs, so we'll have to see how that goes, but definitely another matchup to keep an eye on. Over to the North American shores with the LCS, we have Evil Geniuses versus Golden Guardians. John, these are two teams that sit in 6th and 5th respectively. Evil Geniuses in 6th, Golden Guardians in 5th. They both look like they have the potential to make playoffs, but again, hovering right around that 6th seed, it gets a little chancy. Are they going to be a top 6 team? I believe NA is actually are they taking 8 teams?
I believe it is 8.
I think they're taking 8. So it's going to be a big seeding factor involved in this. So how do they match up against one another? Is Golden Guardians that better team? They've taken down some very high-level teams over the last couple weeks. They've really shown their colors. They've shown that they can be golden. Not quite gold medal golden, but they've shown that they can really pull things together when it matters. While Evil Geniuses has been plotting different roster moves, changing their mid laner for Golden Glue now with Jizuke on the bench. We've seen Kuma get moved out as well, with Huni coming into the top lane. Still a lot of question marks, though. It doesn't look like a final product for both these teams, but I'm excited to see this matchup. Any thoughts on this matchup or any others that stick out to you in the LCS this week?
Yeah, I think you did a great job covering that one. The only other thing I want to point out there is I want to take a look at Cloud9, not just because I'm a Cloud9 fan, but because they're in a really unique situation right now. After going 3 weeks in a row, going 1-1, and last week going 0-2, they're currently tied in second at 11-5 with TSM. They have 2 games this week against bottom feeders. Cloud9 should have no issue beating them, even with their recent poor play. One of the big games to watch here, if you're looking for the battle of the top 3 seeds for NA, TSM takes on Team Liquid. If TSM still continues to play in their recent strong form, Team Liquid could be in trouble. If TSM takes that win and Cloud9 goes 2-0, you can find Cloud9 in second place, if not potentially in a tie for first place as well. So there's a lot that has to go right in Cloud9's way, but it is very, very possible with the current matchups for Cloud9 to get sole possession of the second seed, if not the first seed as well.
Absolutely, John. And like we said before, I mean, we've watched these playoff matches, or the matches leading up to playoffs, that is, and there's just so much excitement. There's so much on the line. Everyone wants that better seed. Everyone wants to fight for that bye week potentially. And now it's all going to accumulate right here. Who is going to make it to Worlds? Who has what it takes to overcome their competitors in the summer, push their way to Worlds, which is taking place in China. We talked about it last week or earlier this week, actually. I think it's still a little different getting used to these podcast episodes. But overall, I'm super stoked for this, John. I think there's a lot of great action in LEC and LCS, and I look forward to talking about some of these summaries next week.
Well, Nation, that does it for this edition of Level Up Live. But before you go, head on over to patreon.com/OTN and consider becoming a part of the Overtime Network. In return, you will get access to exclusive content that nobody else in the world can get unless they are a part of OTN Media. If you have not already, make sure you follow the show here on Twitch to catch the next episode of Level Up Live. If you do listen to the show on our podcast feed, leave us a review. LvLUp Podcast is available on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play, and we would love to hear from you. In fact, we love to hear from our community so much, there are other ways for you to interact with us outside of the show. Joey, where else can the LvLUp Nation go to interact with us?
LvLUp Nation, head on over to Twitter and follow our new handle, and that is @LvLUpLive. On top of that, you can follow OTN, our umbrella company, over on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And that is at OTN Media on Twitter and Facebook, OTN_media on Instagram. Last but not least, this show streamed regularly Mondays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. This is our first double week for the show, so we're still getting used to things, doing some adjustments here and there, but we have a lot of exciting things planned in the weeks ahead.
All right, make sure you tune in next Monday as we cover the latest in gaming and esports news. Do your ears a favor. Hit that sub button to know when the next episode is ready for your pleasures. We'll catch you all next Monday. Remember, be nice to your fellow gamers online, and as always, level up.